Yeah.
I had a little too much caffeine.
It's playing off well.
I hope so, Christ. Hello, my lovely Hyruleans, and welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 16. I am your host, as always, Oni Dino. With me, I have the widest and tallest Tetris piece, Galen.
For those of you playing the home game, that is the L-shaped piece.
You got like 1 foot that's like really big.
Mm-hmm.
You're like what are those crabs? Those hermit crabs, and like it's got like the really big arm and the tiny foot, but it's actually wait.
It's not a king crab. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. Hey Galen, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Oni?
I'm doing good. Superman does well. I'm doing good. Wait, no, that was the wrong way around.
Yeah, you really messed that up.
Anyway, there was a Nintendo Direct that happened this week.
Yeah.
And I am just so happy to be alive.
Man. February as a whole has just been a cascade of Nintendo info. It's been ridiculous.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess we do this podcast, so I should be a little bit more aware.
Hey, you're in the here and now. That's the important thing.
I'm barely here. I'm barely now. So, we have a very special episode because there was a special Nintendo Direct that came out. So we've got so much to cover. We're going to go straight through the Nintendo Direct and talk about all of our impressions and all of the extra info that was not in the Direct that we got supplemented afterward, as well as I watched the Japanese Direct, and there is some extra information that I got for you there too, so you'll be getting some nice insider information. It's not really insider information.
Ooh.
It's not.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Galen. So, let's go on to our adventure log, and just before we do that, of course, the quick reminder that this is a weekly show, and episodes go live on Sundays. iTunes and Spotify listeners get it bright and early on Sunday morning, and our website and YouTube, it comes out midday-ish.
So, Oni, there have been tons of demos with the new Direct that's been coming out. Have you gotten a chance to play any of those?
Yeah, there was like a bunch of shadow drops on that Direct. Like, if we're lucky, we get one. There was a bajillion this time. Well, not a bajillion, but you know.
There were a lot.
Yeah.
There was like a good 30-40% was all shadow drops.
Wait, what are you talking about, 30-40%?
Yeah, seriously.
Wait, I think we have different identifications. Identifications? Determinations? No, definitions, there's the word, of shadow drops.
Okay, I'm counting 1, 2, 3.
Things that just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I'm counting it. No, I'm just counting like 4 or 5 things that were available the day that the Direct came out.
Oh, okay, that's what I was talking about too. Yeah, you're right though. There was quite a few.
Yeah, there were a lot.
Well, we'll get into all that. But yes, I did play some, so that's part of my adventure log. I played the Yoshi's Crafted World demo.
Ooh, how was that?
It was quite nice. I've already been excited about this game, so I know I'm gonna buy it. You're not turning me over on a new leaf. That is not a word. You're not convincing me otherwise. So I just played it because I was so excited to play the game. I love that there's a lot of different puzzle solving on a different plane throughout the stages. You end up like throwing eggs at stuff in the background, or, you know, keeping an eye on the background for like red coins or just little stuff that you're trying to find. So it adds a different element and a different style of play to the puzzle platformer. And I really appreciate that. Of course, the aesthetic, by the way, is just super cute, super creative. I love that. However, I do have to say, the demo itself is not particularly good. The reason I say that is because there's only one stage in the demo, and technically they have you play it 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, but you play it backwards one time, which feels almost like a whole new level. It's very creative because you see like the backside of things, like the little like nutrition facts on top of food items, and you know, like little barcodes and stuff. That's really cute, and it's very interesting to see that through a stage that you've already played. So that is actually not a problem, and I'm very interested in that aspect when I play all the new stages. So I'm cool about that. However, then you go back and you talk to the other guy that's there on the main map, and he's like, oh, find me some cows in this one stage. So then you go back to the stage and you're going through the same one again, the main way and you're looking for cows and you're like, okay, this is fun, but I don't know if I like the idea of like constantly going back through the same stage. So that worries me just a tad with the main game. I don't know if it worries me, but because you can always break up the monotony by going on to another stage, right? But in terms of it being in the demo, I wish that they would have had 2 stages for you.
Just to kind of get that variety going on.
Exactly. You just kept going through the same one. And it was like, by the 3rd time, it was like, Anyway, in terms of it being like a whole game, I loved it. And I touched the Daemon Ex Machina prototype missions demo that came out as well. I only played that a little bit. I still got like another half to go through it.
Okay. Yeah, that came out with like 4 different missions that you can play as, right?
That's correct. So I played the first 2 missions, which are tutorial and sort of like getting you in there kind of mission.
Okay.
So I think that the meat of it is ahead of me.
I haven't gotten a chance to play it just yet, so my biggest question is, how close to Zone of the Enders does it play?
So it's been a long time since I played Zone of the Enders, but if I remember right, Zone of the Enders had pretty simple controls. Like, wasn't there just one button for attacking? And it just depended on your distance?
Yeah, I think they had, it was either one button for attack that was dependent on distance, or it was, you had your range attack and your melee attack, but they were effective at different ranges.
Yeah.
And then you had your rise and fall of your mech.
Right. So it is more complex than that, that's for sure. The controls are definitely more complex, but kind of in a good way. I don't think that they introduce it to you in the best way, but it's not terrible or something. The very excellent thing that I have to say right off the bat, though, is that all of the controls, it seems, like almost every button, is completely remappable. You can customize all those controls any way you want, which I love that in a video game.
That is really nice.
Right? And same thing, you can customize what seems like every HUD element, every UI element. So I need to kind of get in there and feel how things are with like the preset controls, and then be like, I feel like it would be better if it were on the B button or the X button or whatever. So I still have to get familiar with things like that, but those aspects being there really makes me confident in just how much thought was put into this game on the player's end.
Okay. I'm interested in what you said about the HUD elements, because I like games that give you the option that if you want to, you can go completely cinematic while you're playing it.
Yeah.
Or you can take the opposite approach and go for more of an immersive viewpoint, where you have like all these Iron Man-esque displays up and everything like that.
Yeah, actually great comparison too, because with the standard HUD, which I currently have everything still standard, the standard HUD feels very Iron Man because there's lots of stuff all over your screen.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So it's just up to player choice, and I always love player choice.
Awesome.
So I got a lot more to play about it, got more impressions that'll come out a little bit later, so stay tuned next week.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play those games myself. I'm excited.
Yeah, you should. So why don't you tell me about Wargroove, Galen?
I would love to tell you about Wargroove.
Well, why don't you tell me about it?
I'm going to move my little battle pups, because those are a thing.
Oh, I love the battle pups. So cute.
Wargroove is amazing. I'm having so much fun with this game. I feel like as the year goes on, I find one game and I get super into that game. More so than, like, it doesn't matter if it's indie, it doesn't matter if it's AAA. I can already tell this is going to be that game that I am going to have trouble putting down. So it's weird because it plays very much like a traditional strategy RPG. So it plays like Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars. There is a lightheartedness. Oh shoot, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Whimsy?
There's just a general, like, yeah, there's a general whimsy to the game that I very much appreciate. One of the characters, so you start the game as the newly anointed queen, which I also kind of was thrown off at first because I thought he was a male character. It is not. It is a female character. The main character in red and the sword kind of, running forward. Yeah, that I thought that was a guy at first. I was very happy to be mistaken on that. So you start as her, and the entire thing is you play at the very beginning as her kingdom is starting to get taken over. Her dog, which is like a husky Saint Bernard, like a larger dog, has all of this like battle armor on it as well. And instead of playing in the campaign with him, you do side stories where it's like the dog and a platoon of random soldiers, and the dog isn't like super intellectual or anything. He's just a dog, just going around looking for stuff. And you can actually control him in battle. Even when he gets into a fight, the cutscene isn't the dog attacking. It's the dog and the 2 guards with crossbows, and they do all the work.
That's cute. Yeah,
you go to attack somebody, and the dog, like, gets bored, lays on its back, and starts, like, scratching itself. It's so whimsical and fun, and I am just loving the personality that this game has. I did not expect that at all.
I love when video games have this sort of charming feel to it that, I don't know, it makes it stand out from the crowd.
It's like if Fire Emblem decided not to take itself as seriously as it has been. And I am 100% okay with that.
Very cool. So how's the difficulty level so far for you?
Difficulty is interesting because in a game like Fire Emblem, you plan out your moves and you plan out your attacks based on what units you have and their rock, paper, scissors element to it. Oh, I have a axe guy, he's going to be really good against these lance guys. And you can kind of plan for that even if they're at like low health. This game takes a little bit of a twist on that, and the damage that your character does is dependent on his actual health. So if you have a guy who is at full health, he is going to do more damage than somebody who is at like 70% or 40%, which kind of makes sense because, you know, you're losing fighters in your platoon, you're losing your endurance and your stamina if you're playing as one of your commander characters. It adds a new element of who attacks first, because when I played in Fire Emblem, I would sometimes strategically put my people in a place where, yes, they might get attacked, but they have enough HP to, you know, tank the attack, and it will kill the other guy in the process, and I could get a couple of free kills on the enemy's turn that way. You can't necessarily do that, because if the enemy is attacking you first, well, that's lowering the health of your unit, so when they go to do an actual counterattack, it is not nearly as strong, and you're going to be fighting back with a weakened character. So who gets the first strike is very, very important. And I'm at this point in the game where they're really kind of teaching and showcasing the fog of war element. So it's adding a whole new thing of... So I had to go into a ruin that some bandits were actually in. And I kept getting my ass handed to me because there were these troops that were hiding around every corner that I could not see, but they knew I was there. So... I would push forward a guy just trying to see where these guys were, and all of a sudden I would get ambushed, and then my entire leading team would be at like 40%, 30% health, and I'm like, oh god, I have to pull these guys back, send in a new wave, and in this particular mission, I couldn't replenish my guys. I had just what I was sent in with.
Interesting. That adds a different kind of layer.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking on how to play a strategy game, and it's not necessarily a bad thing by any mean. It's a different way, which I appreciate.
That's good. It sounds like it's not just doing the Advance Wars series and the Fire Emblem series stuff. It's kind of doing its own thing as well.
Yeah, I absolutely am in love with the game right now.
Awesome. I need to pick it up sometime soon. I just have so many games that I'm playing.
I know.
And so many games on the back burner. I've sort of put a hard stop on my spending limits.
Doesn't help that we have so many games that are going to be coming out soon now.
Oh my god, this Nintendo Direct is like, God, your wallet is already dead. It's already dead.
Exactly.
So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the Nintendo Direct and our special episode.
I love it. Let's do it.
Here we go!
So we're going to go just chronological order with the Direct. We're starting off with Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
So this was sort of expected to some degree, at least for me, especially when they shut down the Wii U, not the servers, but they shut down a lot of the functionality with the Wii U. I was like, this is coming. This is definitely coming to the Switch at some point. Like whether it's an updated port or whether it's true sequel, and it looks like true sequel, so that's great. I think that's fantastic. And I love how they started it off with one of the things that you always saw in the comments where it was like, there's nothing to slide on, or there's no slopes, I can't believe it. Like, I don't know, just people just freaking out on the internet, you know what I mean? And so I love that they started off with that, like, here, slopes for days, y'all. Take it, shut up now. Move on to the next thing you're going to complain about. How excited were you about this? I know that you played the 3DS version quite a bit, right?
I did, and I kind of regret that. I wish I would have played it more on the Wii U, because I feel like that's where that game really shined. This was a really big surprise for me. It was always one of those things where I feel like people talked about it. People said, hey, I would love it if they could come out with Super Mario Maker for the Switch, but I didn't hear anybody actually asking for the game. Does that make sense? Like,
no.
People talked about it and said it from a standpoint of that would be a nice thing, but I didn't hear any, like, actual requests for it.
I think that you are just making up realities like you usually do. Things that just hurt my brain because they don't make logic to me.
That might just be the gaming group that I hang around with, but regardless, when they made the announcement of this, I was very happy. I absolutely loved the first one, and I was kind of worried on what could they possibly do for a sequel, and would they be able to add more stuff to make it feel justifiable? Oh, 100% yes. I feel like they really, just in what they showcased, they showed that, yeah, there's so much more that we can do with this game.
Yeah, I like the 3D land and 3D world elements being thrown in there into 2D, like Cat Mario and like those little ant guys. And plus, I'm sure there's more stuff that they're going to show us. I really hope that they show us Super Mario Bros. 2/USA.
Yeah, the cat costumes were a big surprise. I would love to see how they incorporate amiibo support, because I remember that was a pretty big thing beforehand. Some of the things that I saw during the clip show that they had during it, the sun is actually an interactive thing now.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I actually had to watch it again, and I had to remind myself, no, that wasn't in the first one. The moving of the plants around, like they were showcasing you can make a path for your piranha plants to go ahead and, you know, chomp on, like they do in the newer Mario games. So I'm really excited about this game.
Yeah, super exciting, right? So it just made too much sense for them to bring this to the Switch, in my opinion, because even when the Wii U was not doing, well, I mean, the Wii U was never doing particularly well, except for its launch window, I think. But anyway, when that game came out, like, it was a huge, huge hit. It was like gigantic all over the internet. It was like free promotion. It was too good for them, right? So it just made so much sense that on a really successful platform like the Switch to do this. And I hope that they improve all of the online capabilities and integration that they do. They did pretty good with the Wii U, but I hope it's just a tad bit less clunky, more streamlined, faster. I think these are all realistic expectations.
Absolutely. I would love for them to have a better search function on it for being able to search through different categories of levels to play through, because I felt like it was a little difficult on the original one to actually find levels.
Yeah, it was not the most intuitive. It wasn't terrible, if I remember right, but I don't know. I didn't play it a huge ton. Yeah. But actually, I think it was my very first level I made. It was featured on a Games Radar video that got pretty popular.
You know, I remember that.
Yeah. It was like top 5 worst levels. They're so bad that they're good, or something like that. And it was just me dicking around, like, you know, making a level. Like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be a game designer or something, but it was very funny because, like, suddenly I'm getting, like, all this influx of people clicking like or stars or whatever the hell they gave you. And suddenly I'm like, what is going on? And then people in the comments on Miiverse were like, yo, dude, your thing's featured on Games Radar. So then I went over to the video and the comments were like mostly blowing the two people apart. They were doing like a really annoying, sorry guys, if any of you listen to this, they were doing kind of an annoying thing where they were like making fun of the levels, but it kind of felt like they were
reaching and looking for nitpicks and things like that.
Yeah, rather than it just coming out organically, which whatever, you know, different folks, different strokes, totally cool. I'm sure, I know for a fact, lots of people think I'm annoying and think, you know, so I get it. It's totally cool. But anyway, they were like complaining about it, and like all of the not all, but lots of the comments, the majority of them were like, most of these levels are not actually bad, and lots of people went and played them and were like, actually this one part, I forgot what level it wasn't mine. Some people were like, this level is actually really cool. I don't understand why these people have this on a list. So anyway, it was a YouTube thing. Super Mario Maker was a YouTube thing, and this one's only going to become way bigger, and I can't wait for it.
Me neither. June of this year, right?
Yeah, June. That's real soon, right?
That's really close.
Because it's a big enough game that you would think that it would be a holiday seller for them, right? But they have a lot of other things coming out in the holidays, so...
Exactly. No, and I felt like that was like an overarching theme. We'll talk more about this later on, but
okay.
I feel like almost all of what they were releasing was stuff that was going to be coming out in the next couple of months.
In the next couple of months?
Yeah, if not like here today as is, but...
Okay, we'll talk about that. I don't want to go... we got an outline, all right? We got outlines to follow.
Gotcha.
It's me, Mario!
And then next up, we got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is coming out summer 2019. Big surprise. It's probably going to come out around the same time as the new film, the new Marvel... I don't even know what it's called.
Avengers Endgame, yeah. No, there was definitely a lot of they are timing this to coincide with the launch of the movie.
Yeah.
They did a very specific name drop on Captain Marvel, who up until recently has been a very lesser known superhero to the general public. Like, she's been huge
to the general public, yes.
Yeah, she's been huge in the comic book world for years. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of like nobody really knew that Captain Marvel was even the thing or who that character was until they really kind of started to showcase and let them know that, hey, there's going to be a movie coming out on it.
Yeah. I mean, you could also draw parallels to that with, like, Deadpool in terms of the general public. And Iron Man.
Well, and also... Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy especially, yeah.
This very much felt like they were timing the hype of it around the upcoming Marvel movies, which are coming out in the summer, in the near summer. So they're definitely wanting to ride that hype train here.
Yeah, that's fine with me because they're not hiding it. You know what I mean? Like, if they're trying to hide it or just play something like kind of weird like they did with MVC Infinite, where they suddenly just didn't have X-Men in it, you know? That would be a huge problem with me. Like, it's like, clearly you're pushing your movie characters, but you're disrespecting all of the fans of the fighting series all the way up to a 4th entry in the series by suddenly not having, actually 5 if you count it. So anyway, I'm really glad that they also mentioned X-Men in this trailer specifically. So we definitely saw Wolverine and Storm. I don't think we saw anybody else, but I'm not Game Explain over here, right? I don't have the analysis machine in my brain. So hopefully we'll see more.
So, got a question for you.
Oh no.
What is going to be your Marvel Dream Team?
My Marvel Dream Team? I don't know, it's hard to choose.
So 4 characters. Give me 4 characters that you want to have on a team.
It's super hard to choose because I'm not like the biggest comics or Marvel guy. I am definitely an X-Men guy, which, you know, is under the umbrella of Marvel. So, like, for me, it would just be, like, X-Men.
Okay, well, give me your X-Men team, then.
So, Storm and Rogue.
Okay, yeah, that's 2. You got 2 more.
Iceman.
Okay.
Maybe Archangel. You're putting me on the spot. Nice. I feel like I'm leaving out a lot of people that I love.
Hey, I never got a chance to ask you those 10 questions or 20 questions, okay? So this is the best I can do.
Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah, so Storm and Rogue definitely need to be together. They need to be all up on top of each other, you know what I'm saying? At least I really doubt that Rogue is going to be in this game just because she wasn't in any of the previous 2 games or anything like that. But Storm can go straight to the source of Captain Marvel and get up on that, if you know what I'm saying. That's like a double joke for comic book people. It's not even like a deep lore or anything like that. It's pretty standard lore, but... So getting back to the game, what are we doing? Getting back to the game, they mentioned the X-Men, which is cool. They mentioned that there's LAN play for 4 systems, which have separate screens, and then there's also online play, of course. And then they mentioned I'm going to quote this here, dynamic zoomed-in heroic camera. So it's giving a bit of a different view as opposed to the top-down sort of Diablo-esque view that they had in the previous games in the series.
Yeah.
So I think that's nice.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with 4 different screens, that makes perfect sense, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series has always been so poignant about giving weight to all of the super abilities when you're actually using them. So having a more dynamic camera that like spins around and zooms in, it's going to make when you use your super abilities as your superhero just that much more memorable and impactful.
You know what? You mentioning that, I just thought, so you remember how in the first Avengers movie, there was that attack that Iron Man and Captain America did, where Iron Man shot his laser or beam, whatever, comic book nerds are going to kill me for this, beam, and then it reflected off of Cap's
Repulsor
shield.
Blast!
Thank you. And it reflected off of Captain America's shield, and then he sprayed it around and killed all the guys, right? That was an attack from, and I can't remember which one it was, I think it was the first Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
I think it was 2.
Was it 2? Okay, so I played both of those like back to back, so they blend together for me. But anyway, that was a reference to that game. Do you think in the upcoming movie we're going to see a reference to a special move that's in this third game?
Oh god, maybe.
That would be super hype! I would freak out!
That would be pretty cool. Oh man, now you got me thinking about like different combo moves they can actually put in, like what ones we would actually like to see.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I really hope that they do a bunch of dual techs like Chrono Trigger and triple techs, and like clearly they're going to be doing something like that. They showed it off in the trailer, so I'm really excited about that. I always love combinations of 2 different people's powers. That's always so exciting to me in any video game or movie medium.
I'm really excited.
Me too. So the last thing I wanted to mention about this though, because I watched the Japanese Direct, the Japanese Direct in particular mentioned that there were over 30 heroes. I don't think that they said that in the North American Direct. Yeah.
They did not.
It's weird that they would leave that out, right?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that feels like very much a highlight that you would kind of throw in there. Unless they're worried about 30 heroes seeming too little, but that doesn't seem right.
Well, it's been a while since I played the first 2, so I can't remember how many were in those. But 30 seems about right for me, at least for them to be like, here's what you should be expecting kind of thing. And then following that, I will be shocked if they don't have a bunch of DLC to add extra characters in. You know what I mean? Like Marvel is involved in this. They want that money. If this were being published by some other company besides Nintendo, this would be rife with microtransactions and a whole bunch of BS like that. I have great faith that Nintendo won't put microtransactions in it. However, they're still going to do DLC, I bet. And as long as that's appropriately priced, fine with it.
So I just did a quick lookup, and it looks like they had 34 playable characters on Ultimate Alliance 2.
Cool. So yeah, that falls right in line, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just about.
So long, Bowser!
So the next game that we saw in the Direct is Boxboy plus Boxgirl, which is coming out April 26th. I've never played any of these Boxboy games, but they've always looked very interesting to me. Have you ever played any?
I haven't. I am a big fan of puzzle games.
Me too.
I was a big fan of Pushmo and other things like that when it came in. Boxboy was just always one of those ones that came at a time where I couldn't get my hands on it in a reasonable manner.
Yeah,
so
same here, same here. So maybe I'll eventually pick this one up. The Japanese Direct did mention a Japanese yen price of around $10 US equivalent. So it's probably going to be about that when it goes westward. So, I mean, regardless, that's a really fair price, yeah?
Yeah. And I like the stats that they threw out there, like 270 stages. Like, That's a lot of content that you'd be able to get for that. I love that they had Boxboy and Boxgirl, who they took the Miss Pac-Man approach and just put a bow on her. And that was it.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it. I think it's going to be kind of like a remix kind of thing of a whole bunch of past stages and probably some new ones. I don't think that they said anything like that, but something about the tone of them talking, it seems like it was sort of that. And this cheaper price point, that reinforces my thought on that.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a nice, like, it'll go on sale for like maybe 20% off, and then it's going to be a good pickup.
I think if it's $10 US, it's...
$10 is pretty cheap.
Yeah,
so,
that's good. This would be, just saying, a good game for you and I to play while yelling at each other.
That would be a lot of fun, because we are insufferable to play video games with.
Yeah. Whether you're playing with us or listening to us, we are insufferable.
Exactly.
And the next bit of news we got was Smash Ultimate is getting a spring update of version 3.0. They mentioned some secret editions, and then they also mentioned that Joker, who is part of the Challenger Pack 1, will be out before the end of April. Then they also mentioned that there are new amiibo coming in 2019. They didn't even give any release windows. They were just like, shut up, amiibo are coming. You know?
I almost feel like the amiibo was more of a tack on at the end. It's just like, hey, listen, amiibo are still a thing. We're sending these out to you. They're still coming.
I think amiibo are still selling well. They're not that crazy craze, which is good. But I think they are still selling well, especially like these new fighters in Smash.
I actually had pre-ordered some of the newer amiibo back in like, oh god, October, November or something before Smash actually came out. They just arrived on my doorstep today. So I have Ice Climbers, Piranha Plant, and King K. Rool.
So you're going to play with your dolls today then?
I am going to play all with my amiibo action figures.
So I am very glad that they got this out of the way. And it was really brief.
Yeah.
Right? I love Smash, but I think that we could all do with a little less of it clogging up upcoming games, and especially when they didn't have too much to announce. Like, that's fine. The way they mentioned it, I think was perfect.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like they didn't really say much of anything. I mean,
that's
hey,
fine.
Joker's coming out, but we did get to see a 3D model of Joker, so we do know kind of like how he's going to look in the game. We don't know how he's going to play or anything, but we kind of know like the aesthetic that they're going to be going for the character, which I liked.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some more announcements leading up to April. Maybe some gameplay footage.
I'm hoping. I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a Smash Bros. Mini direct or something like that in the next like month or so, just to kind of go over everything that's going to be coming in the spring update.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. So what do you think about secret editions? What do you think they'll be? You think in a stage creator?
It's possible. It's hard to say because they've taken a little bit of a different approach with the game so far, so it's kind of hard to say where their mindset is right now.
Yeah.
I can see them doing some more like Target Smash. I can see them doing some more involved home run contest-esque things, or those little modes that they kind of omitted from the game when it originally came out.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to bring up, this is kind of cycling back around to that amiibo thing. I noticed with the amiibos that they announced, so you had Simon Belmont Snake, Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Pokemon Trainer. That's interesting to me that they would have separate ones for each of the, now all three of the Pokemon that you can play as, but then they had that other separate one just of the Pokemon Trainer.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me because of they did Charizard before, so not only is it a great way to milk more money out of those Pokemon fans, but to put all the characters together like that, it makes sense from a exploiting your fan base kind of situation.
I mean, I guess you've got a point when you say it like that. I'm just thinking about like cross-game compatibility. So like, is this something that we can look forward to using with like, let's say the next Pokemon game when it comes out a little bit later?
Totally, they're gonna do that.
Is there going to be a benefit to having a Pokemon Trainer amiibo versus just an amiibo for each of the individual Pokemon?
It's hard to say. It's probably going to be like kind of dumb implementation, but
Yeah.
that's the weird thing about amiibo, right? Is that we could have this conversation all day long, but like people just
Tinfoil hat time, ladies and gentlemen.
basically like the implementation is either too little or too much for people, and I see it both ways. I totally understand it, but I don't know. They're lucky people love those characters. That's all I'm saying, because people.
Exactly. I when I saw that, I originally had the question of, was having a separate Pokemon Trainer figure going to be viewed as redundant, or what are their larger plans for that?
Sure, I don't
But
think.
we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I don't think that there's really any like plans. I think it's just like, hey, let's make another figure. Hey, people will buy it. Give us money. And if they aren't doing this, I would be shocked if there is not a Player 2 amiibo of the female Pokemon Trainer. Is there not one?
Not that they announced, not that I saw.
I feel like they announced it before, but they didn't show it in this direct, so that's why I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It'd be really weird if they didn't put out a female Pokemon Trainer, because they put out Player 1, Player 2 versions of lots of other amiibo like Bayonetta, Cloud, Corrin.
For adventure! Yay!
On to the next bit of news, we have...
Free and paid DLC for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker!
I am just so happy when I see Toad and his stupid voice and this wonderful game. It was one of my favorite video games on Wii U. I have not picked up the Switch version yet. But anyway, the news is that there is a new update live now for 2-player co-op for the Switch version only, sadly. So Wii U users, 3DS users, we're missing out. Then they also have an update coming March 14th with 18 new challenges, 5 new courses, and this is the paid DLC. If I remember right, this is around $6 US according to the bundle pricing that's on the American eShop. So that's fantastic pricing in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a really good price.
That's what I'm saying though, is that like price your DLC appropriately and I'm cool with it. I will support your game.
Absolutely. I love how they are giving me more and more incentive to pick up the Switch version and try out this game.
I have to buy it now. I would like for it to go on sale. So also if you pre-purchase now, you get 1 course early apparently, and then all of the rest of the content will come out on the release date, March 14th. Galen, this is another game that would be perfect for us to play in co-op.
Absolutely.
I will yell at you nonstop in Toad voice.
Oh god, no. Okay, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah!
I'll find a way to throw the radish off the level.
Oh god,
This goes both ways, damn it.
you're right. It's only fair.
Thanks for playing!
Next, we got some surprising footage of Bloodstained, Ritual of the Curse of the Moon of the Night of the Vampire of the Castle.
I think that's the actual title.
I can never remember. It's just like all those words, you know?
Exactly.
I was pretty surprised and happy to see them pushing this on a Nintendo Direct for the Switch, because it's been kind of quiet before, like the Nintendo version. It's a multi-plat game, of course, so I just figured, you know, it's just going under the radar kind of thing. So it was nice to see it.
Yeah. And I haven't been following this game a whole lot myself, so it was really nice to kind of see that gameplay footage and just remind myself of how Castlevania-esque this game looks. It looks like it plays. I like the character customization aspect of it. I think I heard somebody refer to it as a waifu maker.
Sure. Creepos are going to be creepos.
Yeah, it's that was just an element that I did not expect to come out of the game.
Yeah, I think that was new.
Yeah, and granted, what they showed, it mainly looked like you were just changing around different color aspects, so not knowing if there's a whole lot to the character customization, but I'll take it. I'm not going to say no if I can, like, change the hair color or change the dress color.
Yeah.
This game looks good. I'm probably going to pick it up when it comes around because I love that style of game. I love playing Castlevania or Metroidvania style games.
Yeah, same here. I thought that this is just a tiny nitpick, but I thought that some of Miriam's animations looked like they could use just a little more polish or like extra oomph or something. But that is a total nitpick. If I compare it with Symphony of the Night, the game that this is clearly imitating or inspired by,
Yeah.
it's very similar, honestly, to those animations. So it's not even out of line. It's just a personal thing. But I think that this game is looking great ever since I played Curse of the Moon, which is that like digital only Kickstarter stretch goal game that they released only digitally. After I played that, I am insanely hyped for it because Curse of the Moon had incredible, and I mean, I know that they're, okay, hold on, I'm going all over the place right now. Curse of the Moon is a different beast of Castlevania than Ritual of the Night. Curse of the Moon is classic Castlevania. Ritual of the Night is the Metroidvania style that came about with Symphony of the Night. So I know that they are two different beasts. However, with Curse of the Moon having such good level design, I have great faith in what Ritual of the Night will be. And also, if anybody has not played Curse of the Moon, you definitely should. That thing is like, I think, $10 or something on the eShop. It is incredible.
Yeah.
I had a little too much caffeine.
It's playing off well.
I hope so. Christ. And then moving on, comparing the North American Direct with the Japan Direct, there were a whole bunch of Japan-only announcements right in this little block. So I'm just going to kind of mention them just to keep you, dear listener, informed. So first we heard a video game called Doraemon Nobita no Bokujo Monogatari.
Sure.
Sure. Which is a game in the Doraemon, dare I say universe? I don't know. I never watched Doraemon as a kid. He's like this big cat, and he's got like a door that goes anywhere, the Dokodemo door. It's looking like a Harvest Moon / Stardew Valley style game. It looks pretty relaxing. It has very, very cute visuals. It's got a bit of a watercolor aesthetic to it. Looks really, really nice and relaxing. So that's probably not going to come west just because Doraemon is not super popular in the West. So
Game still sounds fun.
yeah, it does look fun. So if you want to get it, you can still do that on the eShop, right? It's coming out sometime in 2019. Next, we got something that I'm sure you would be very excited about. Ace Attorney Trilogy for Nintendo Switch. Yeah, Galen is a huge fan of the Ace Attorney series. So just a little splash of that and a release date of February 21st in Japan. To my knowledge, I think that's still coming early 2019 to the West.
I'm really excited. I love the Phoenix Wright series.
Then there was Super Robot Wars T, which is coming out March 20th. Just a quick splash of that. And then same with Atelier Lulua, which is coming out March 20th. Then Zoid's Wild King of Blast, which I'm not even sure if this is coming westward or not.
Are Zoids still a thing?
Especially with the title of King of Blast. That's Japanglish AF.
Yeah.
But then again, look at all of the Kingdom Hearts subtitles, right? Those are Japanglish. Anyway, Zoid's Wild coming to Nintendo Switch. It looks nice. February 28th. Then we got a little bit of footage of My Sweet Bay Destiny Connect, which they call Destiny. I don't know why. So Destiny, Destiny, whatever you want to say. March 14th in Japan. Then Caligula Overdose, March 14th also. That's that game that I told you guys about before that is like a spiritual side story of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. Definitely, that's coming to the West as well, so check that out when that comes out if you're into Persona or Shin Megami Tensei.
Nice.
So now going back to the North American Direct, there was Dragon Quest Builders 2 release announcement for the West finally, and that will be on July 12th. So this kind of game is not really for me, but I'm happy for people that are into this kind of thing. What do you think, Galen?
The Dragon Quest series and myself have always been kind of not necessarily weird. I definitely have a lot of respect for the series. I have not played nearly as many of the games as I should. And I honestly love the idea of combining Dragon Quest and Minecraft together.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be giving this a try. I did notice that they had the special bonuses if you have the first game, that they give you some like extra incentives. I think they gave you a special hat or crown and a chair to go along with it.
That's right.
So Maybe I'll have to look into the first game before July 12th.
Yeah, there's some new additions to this game too, so it'll be nice. It sounds like going underwater and warping around is new to the second game, so nice little quality of life and extra exploration for people who are fans of the series.
Yeah.
And then they jumped right into super exciting announcement of Dragon Quest XI on Switch, announced for the West. This is coming in autumn of this year. So, talking about Japanglish and everything, this is not Japanglish, but this is a wordy title. Dragon Quest XI-S Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. What up, title?
Chain of Memories, Dream Drop Distance,
0.2
exclusive, 0 hour,
Fade of birthing.
Super Turbo.
So anyway, this game looks so nice. It's a tad blurry, but that doesn't bother me. I expected like some visual downgrades from the PC and the PS4 versions personally, but like these are just obvious downgrades that don't impact this experience in my opinion. So still looks really good to me.
Yeah. I really like some of the features that they had on there. I love the fact that you can switch between the HD and the retro graphics. Like,
yes.
Choosing to go to a 16-bit format is amazing. Like, who does that nowadays? That's awesome.
That was super hype because that was the 3DS version, and the 3DS version is of course not going west. It had the 16-bit visuals, and then on the top it had the 3D visuals. So that they are including this in the Switch version is a huge treat for fans of this series and people who really wanted to see that 3DS version coming west.
I really appreciate that. I love giving players the choice to experience the game how they not only want to, but how they want to remember experiencing it.
Yeah.
Just like playing the audio, like being able to have either English voice actors or Japanese when you're in your cutscenes and when you're talking to people. Like, there's a huge debate on, sub versus dub, and I love the fact that you can enjoy the game however you want to.
So yes, you are correct about those kinds of things. However, the reason that they also mentioned that, and I don't know if they should have brought this up or not, is that the original Japanese release did not have voice acting at all, not even in Japanese.
Yeah.
Then when they released it on the PS4 and PC in the West, they added English voice acting, but there was still no Japanese voice acting whatsoever. So one of the big additions to this version is the Japanese voice acting in Japan and in the West.
My only complaint about this trailer, if I'm going to be nitpicky, was I feel there were some areas of it where they were definitely fluffing it out for time. Because, hey guys, breaking news, this RPG has side quests in it.
Yeah. Like, especially nowadays, like, there's crafting, there's side quests. Okay, big deal.
You could go to the casino and play mini games.
I mean, that's an appeal of the classic Dragon Quest games, so I understand why they included it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, in addition to that new feature to the exclusive Switch version, you also travel on the 3D maps with your party members, which is new for the Switch version, I believe. There is fully orchestrated music, which was not in the PlayStation or PC versions in any region. You can switch between the original sort of like MIDI-esque music, or you can switch into the orchestrated music. For me, I really like MIDI music usually. And I mean, that's not the appropriate term for it, but just whatever, go with it, okay?
Yeah.
I actually really do like it a lot. Sometimes I'll choose it over the orchestrated music, but something about the music that I've heard in that game sounds a bit off. I don't know exactly what it is. So I'm glad that they're including the orchestrated music that they included on the, I think it was a special edition for the PS4 and the PC. They included it on CD.
Not the definitive edition.
Well, there was no definitive edition until this one.
Or the special definitive edition. Or the super special definitive edition.
Or the Dragon's Slime version edition.
I would get a Joy-Con controller that was shaped like a slime.
And also, there are new side stories for all of the main characters in the game that are brand new to the Switch version. And we'll see if there are any more features from the 3DS version that jump over to the Switch Definitive Edition. Apparently, there's still more stuff to announce, they said. So we'll see.
No, I'm really excited because I feel like with everything that they are presenting in this game, all the different options and ways to take in the game via the graphics to the audio, all the different aspects, it feels like there was a lot of love and care that has gone into representing this game to people, and sometimes to people who haven't even played it the first time. So no, I'm excited to see what they come out with at the end.
Yes.
Yahoo!
And then we had a very strange announcement of Disney Tsum Tsum Festival coming out in 2019. This is Japanese AF nonsense.
What is a Tsum Tsum?
So, I don't know if they sell these things in the West, but in Japan, they sell these things called Tsum Tsum, and they're like these little like stackable plushie things that Disney makes. And I don't know, I just don't know why they call them Tsum Tsums in English, because you would think they would call them like Disney Stackables or Disney Stackers, not Snackers.
It looks like a pop figure combined with a jelly bean.
It's basically that. You're really on the money, Galen. So like Tsum is what they call them in Japanese, and like that comes from the word for like stacking and like putting things on top of each other. So that's where that comes from. I don't know. This is a weird one to get, but you know, there's an audience for this for sure.
Yeah, it's a thing. Roll credits.
So no Kingdom Hearts, but you get Tsum Tsum. Right? And then next we got an update coming to Starlink in April of 2019. So it sounds free, but I'm not sure. It's Ubisoft, right? So we'll see, you know. It is an update that includes all of the main characters from Star Fox and all of the main characters from Star Wolf that were not originally in the Nintendo Switch version of Starlink.
Yeah.
It includes starship races, faction missions, and more. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm fairly confident that it will be on the free side because they classified this as an update and not a DLC.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah. So, sounds fun. I haven't really played any of the Starlink stuff myself. I've been eyeing that Starlink R-Wing for the longest time and just waiting for it to go on sale and asking myself, okay, can it go a little bit lower?
It's a Ubisoft title, it probably will.
Yeah, probably. It looks fun. I'm really happy that they are integrating so much of the Star Fox IP into this game itself. Like, in a lot of respects, I feel like this is almost the Star Fox game that people wanted, and they're just giving you the building pieces to kind of pretend like this is your Star Fox game.
Yeah, a lot of people have drawn that comparison since it was announced and since its release. And I've heard pretty good things about this. Not like super amazing or anything, but I've heard good things about this. Definitely better than Star Fox Zero, sadly. So
yeah.
I'm sure I'll pick this up at some point. I anticipate there will be a good sale sometime in April to coincide with this update. It looks pretty. Speaking of looks pretty, just kidding, Rune Factory 4 Special. I'm sorry, it was too easy. It was too easy. Rune Factory 4 Special, to be fair, a 3DS game from 2012, is getting ported to the Nintendo Switch with updated features and some other junk. I don't even know. Cool.
Hey, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, there's an audience for this, so, you know, good for people that like this kind of thing. It's a RPG with dungeons and also Harvest Moon-esque stuff. Lots and lots of relationship junk, lots of waifu husbando stuff. So, cool.
Yeah.
Coming sometime 2019.
Yeah, I did a little research on this because I've not been that into the whole Rune Factory series as a whole. I think it's interesting that this was originally a 3DS game, came out in 2012, but it's the 6th game in the series, even though it's titled number 4.
Oh, great. So it's got Kingdom Hearts syndrome. Boy, we are ragging on Kingdom Hearts this episode. Sorry. I like it, okay? I do like Kingdom Hearts.
M-I-C-K.
I don't know. Lots of series are actually guilty of that, right?
It's entirely true.
And then popping over to the Japanese Direct for a moment, there was an announcement of Dragon Quest Rivals for the Nintendo Switch. This is an online card game that is also on mobile. And there were some nice details on there saying that there is crossplay with the mobile version online, and you can also share save data between the Switch and the mobile versions as well. This is great, I think. This is the kind of features that I think that Switch needs to have when it's coordinating with mobile versions. I think that the Switch needs to dip its toes in mobile gaming to entice more people over from that crowd, especially, or not especially, but at least in the Japanese market, because mobile gaming is huge in Japan. So having that cross functionality on the Switch version, I think is great. And I think that Nintendo should be doing that with the games that they release on mobile and Switch as well. This is a bit of a conversation for another day, but I thought it was great to point out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this really goes in line with what Nintendo has been saying about wanting to double down on increasing their presence on the mobile platform.
But this isn't being developed by Nintendo or anything like that. This is a Dragon Quest game, right? So
yeah.
This is Square Enix. But still, I see what you're saying. But I just wanted to point out that distinction. That's all. Don't want to sit around and be wrong all day, I'll tell you what. And then there was an announcement of a video game called Oninaki in the West.
Yeah.
This is from the same developers that did I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. In this game, apparently, the souls of dead people become monsters, and the living are forbidden to mourn the dead, and it seems really, really melancholic. Seems gloomy AF. It's an action RPG as opposed to the turn-based RPGs of Setsuna and Lost Sphere. And it seems like you switch between like reality and purgatory-esque worlds.
Yeah.
And then you use the souls that you collect as like JoJo stands. And it seems like a nice little action RPG. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm definitely interested in it. I feel like there's a lot that you can do with the storyline on this one.
Yeah.
The simple premise of you have to try to save these lost souls, because if you don't, they're going to turn into monsters. Like, it's such a simple premise. I don't feel it's convoluted, but it's interesting enough to get you enticed into wanting to find out more.
Yeah, well said. I super agree.
I'm very excited to see more of this game, and I really hope that they have a strong story to go behind it.
I hope so too. At least, even if it's just like a sort of samey, we've kind of seen it done before, kind of overarching narrative. Arching or arcing? I don't even know. Narrative.
I think it's arcing.
Okay. Story. Even if it's that's fine with me, as long as the interpersonal relationships or the characters are written well, and I care about, like, oh my god, I have to save this little girl because she's gonna become a monster, because she's gonna die, like that kind of thing. Like, a great one is Full Metal Alchemist. What's her name? The little girl that turns into the beast thing because her dad's experimenting on her.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for like episode 4 of a series that's at least 15 years old now.
I'm surprised you went with a Full Metal Alchemist and not Bleach. So,
you know why? Full Metal Alchemist is a lot better than Bleach.
I mean, I wasn't gonna put that one out there.
I put it right out there. I wrap it up and I unfold it for everybody. I put it out.
You're also talking to somebody who, in his notes here, wrote, "Gotta exercise them all." So now I'm coming up with like Pokemon alternative lyrics to this.
A stellar joke. A solid 4 out of 7.
Yeah, needs more water.
So did you play I Am Setsuna or Lost Sphere before?
I did not. Those two were always ones that I'd heard about. I never really saw much of anything from them. I never knew anybody who had, so I didn't have a lot of exposure to these games. But I knew about them, and I knew kind of like the smaller fan base that was around them.
Gotcha.
So
I don't know if it's so much your speed. It's a turn-based battle system that is very heavily inspired by Chrono Trigger. There's some flaws with it. However, it is a good experience, and I think it is worth the money as well. I would recommend it to people who are fans of turn-based battles. I don't think it's going to win over any new fans. It's not really doing a whole lot of new stuff, but yeah, those games are good. I do like them. So this one's going to be kind of different. Action RPG, right? So this one might be, for you, Galen, more your speed.
I'm always into action RPGs, so like Kingdom Hearts.
So on that melancholic note, I wanted to mention that it's called Oninaki in the West, right? Which means like demon crying or something like that. In Japan, the actual title is Oni no Nakukuni, which is the land or the home of the weeping demons.
That sounds so much better.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's very edgy.
The Lord of Edge City.
Yes, it's the Lord of Edge City. It's certainly a chancellor. It's interesting that the Western title is in Japanese, but is not actually the Japanese title. You know what I'm saying? So I just found that interesting to point out.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Then, after Oninaki came some Yoshi's Crafted World announcements. They showed off these little cute costumes that you can wear in the game, and they're super cute. Aren't they?
Oh yeah, no, they're as soon as like, hey, here's the apple juice box costume. I was like, oh my god.
Ugh, I just love it. I just smile every time I look at that game.
I can't wait for the Solid Snake amiibo to come out and to actually use that in this game, so your Yoshi can just be walking around in a cardboard box.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that true, or is this just your hopes?
That's my hopes and like tinfoil dreams, okay?
I don't know. Sometimes Nintendo is on top of that stuff. I would not be surprised if that actually was the case.
Well, and I remember in the first Yoshi's, I think it was Woolly World, they had amiibo some more that was very similar. Like, you put a Mario one on there, and he got a Mario costume.
Yeah, it was more so changing the color palette and the technically the yarn that they were made out of kind of thing. This is a little bit more involved, so I expect there to be fewer costumes just because of development work. But, I mean, Snake's box, that's iconic, right?
Nintendo, make it happen.
And then, of course, they announced that there is a demo live, and it's live right now, so everybody check it out. That game is coming out March 29th.
Another game that is just around the corner. Out of all of these games, I don't think we've had any of them, save for maybe Rune Factory, that is not coming out before summer or during summer.
Not yet. We're moving on.
Oh, sorry. Disney Tsum Tsum did not have an exact date, so that one's still up in the air. Sorry, guys.
You mean it's not coming very soon?
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Cue the slide whistle. So jumping over to the Japanese Direct, there was a announcement of A Hat in Time, which was interestingly omitted from the Western Directs.
Really?
Yeah. They announced A Hat in Time, which is coming out sometime in spring. So I guess we can not expect, but yeah, I guess so expect that in the West also it will be coming out in spring.
I hope so. I've actually been really looking forward to kind of playing that game. I just haven't had the console that haven't decided what console I wanted to play it on, but I've heard really, really good things about that game.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that are waiting to hear something about the Switch because after... There was an interesting story with the developers on that. They said it's definitely not coming to the Switch when it first came out on PS4 and the other locations. Then they were like, okay, yeah, we're actually going to do it. And then there was radio silence for quite a while. And then now suddenly it comes out of nowhere. So that's why I thought it was important to mention on this podcast. Keep you informed, dear listener.
I'm really surprised that there was so much more content in the Japanese version of this versus the US one.
Yeah, it was 2 minutes longer, and there were some things missing from the Japanese one that was in the North American Direct.
Really?
But, I mean, it kind of made sense because, like, Dragon Quest Builders 2, for example, is already out in Japan. It's been out since January.
That's a good point.
You know, there's stuff like that. But there were some differences. Right. And because I read and speak the Japanese, I like to watch those and keep people informed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're not doing this again. We have enough sound clips.
No, we should do it all the time. All the time.
Let's go.
So also I want to mention that we did do an interview with the developers of A Hat in Time. So do check out our YouTube, I believe it is on. We did this interview several months ago, but just a nice time to mention that if you're interested about the Switch version. Check out that interview.
Very nice.
Let's go.
And then we had the information on Fire Emblem. They said that it was going to be like kind of mainly Fire Emblem this direct, but it actually wasn't mainly Fire Emblem. It just took up a nice chunk of the show, but not too much. It was well paced in my opinion on the Fire Emblem front.
I want to say that comparing Fire Emblem to everything else they talked about, Fire Emblem was definitely the longest.
Yeah.
It definitely was not the overwhelming majority of the show.
Yeah, it wasn't like the E3 2018 thing where they talked about Smash for like 20 minutes and we were like, listen, I love Smash, but like, can you talk about something else too, please? So it was well paced in my opinion, and there's still more stuff that they have not talked about, not only in the battle system but in the story system. So that's cool. So before we jump into the details that they gave off for Fire Emblem, I wanted to say about the name Fire Emblem Three Houses. So somebody asked me in the comments this past week on our website about the Japanese title. So I responded to them, and then after I did, I was like, you know what, this is kind of interesting information that maybe people don't know, so I'll put it out there on the podcast. The Japanese title for Fire Emblem Three Houses is called Fukasetsugetsu, which is actually a Chinese phrase. It is literally wind, flowers, snow, and moon. However, the phrase infers some poetic interpretation. It refers to the beautiful scenery of nature and the emotions that it evokes from you. The Japanese equivalent of this phrase is Kachou Fugetsu, which is literally flowers, birds, wind, and moon. Now, differentiating itself from the Japanese saying, however, this Chinese phrase sometimes has a negative linguistic nuance to it, apparently. This is just what I read on the internet. Apparently, it can mean something along the lines of nothing more than over-embellished words. And further to that, there's also some sort of significance with mahjong, but I don't know anything about mahjong at all. That's a like Chinese strategy tile-based video game. Board game. Yeah. Anyway, the point with this is that there's layers, right? It's abstract, it's up to interpretation, and in stark contrast to that Japanese title is the English title that is so plain and blunt, Three Houses. And for me, I'm like, God, that's such a letdown. Even the limited edition that we'll talk about in a second here is called like the Seasons of Warfare edition or something like that. That's a better title than Three Houses. Call it like the Three Houses of Warfare, the Seasons of Warfare, whatever. Like Three Houses sucks. I hate that title. Thank you for listening.
That was a really nice tidbit.
Well, I hope so. I hope it just didn't sound like a big old crappy rant.
I'm reminded why you get paid the big bucks.
So, Galen, what were your impressions about this game before I go into the information?
I had a couple of feelings on this. One, holy crap, they went over so much lore. The first, like, solid 4 or 5 minutes was all just based on the lore surrounding this game. It's like, well, the Church of Saros is going to be a major contributing factor because you're going to be part of the Officers Academy, and here are all of the different characters that you're going to be tutoring. And I'm like, is this all going to be on the test? I haven't even decided if I'm taking the class yet. Like, I appreciate that there's definitely a very rich lore going into this, but it was a little bit too presumptuous right from the beginning, I believe.
Interesting. I didn't get that feeling at all. But I see your point.
Yeah. On the other side of that, when they did start talking about like the 3 kingdoms that they had there, I had some massive like Pokemon Go faction vibes.
Oh, yeah, I see that. I was thinking more Harry Potter.
Harry Potter I can definitely see, but I'm sitting there going, okay, so that's Valor, that's Instinct, and that's whatever the third one was. They had like the kingdom names, and then they had the army names within them, those kingdoms. And they weren't like
you're
directly
right.
related to each other.
It was a little bit like vocab heavy now that you mention it.
Right?
Hopefully they introduce that like appropriately in the video game, because sometimes video games can do that where they just call the basic stuff different names and you're like, ugh,
Exactly.
I have to learn a new dialect.
And I mean, it's not necessarily anything new with Fire Emblem games. I feel like Fire Emblem has always had a very rich lore and backstory
Yeah.
with all of their characters and their worlds that they've built. It's very strange to kind of put that lore right up front during the trailer.
Well, I think that putting it up in the front kind of differentiated itself from previous games, because you are going to be, for lack of a better word, working or operating out of the monastery, which is in between the 3 territories, and it seems like the 3 territories kind of work together, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's like this loose alliance between all 3 of them. Getting past the story elements of it, the gameplay looks very unique.
Yeah, I like the way it looks.
I love the way it looks. I love how the battles feel more involved than just moving your one single figure around. Didn't they do that on the last one that they came out for the 3DS, where when you moved your characters around, you're actually moving that character's platoon?
I can't remember. They did do some interesting stuff. I didn't play that one.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't either, but I do remember that being very distinctive and unique feeling. I also really like how they went into describing how you would grow your characters, and I really got a sense of you can make any character in the game into any class that you want to.
Yeah, I got that same feel too.
It really allows you to kind of focus more on the personality of the people that you're playing with. And, hey, I like these characters, so I'm going to make these characters fit these roles. Like, you're not separating, well, I have to have this guy tag along because I need him to fill out my, my ranger. I really appreciated that. And I really appreciated that they give you the chance to build a team that you want to take around with you.
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it. I hadn't thought about it like that, but that makes so much sense, and especially for the way that I play Fire Emblem games as well. Now I can have like, oh, I really like her, but I hate him, so I don't want him in my party, even though he, like a character that I really need on the party because they fit a certain role.
He's my only mage. Why do I have to drag his ass around?
Yeah. So if it is this way, which I also got that same feeling from the trailer, that you could build your character to be any way you want him to be, that's going to be a new thing for the Fire Emblem series, and also a great addition, in my opinion.
And I feel like doing this is going to get you much more invested in the characters as well, because you can really focus on not only getting engrossed in the personality of the characters that they're giving you, but putting investment in time into building these characters into something that's unique with your experience.
Yeah, well said. So, do you know which house you're going to choose already?
Instinct.
That's the yellow one, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you just kind of said something. You didn't actually have any thought behind that.
Actually, when I joined up with Pokemon Go, I went with Team Instinct, so I'm probably going to do the same thing here.
So I am not doing Pokemon correlations. I, however, will do something equally shallow, and I'm going to go with the golden deer?
Yep.
Because the leader is Claude. As soon as I saw him, I was like, what a snack.
God.
That's my leader. Who will lead whom?
Thanksgiving dinner all over again.
What does that mean?
Remember our question a couple episodes ago about having characters over for a dinner party?
Oh, yeah. I think that was Christmas, though. So we also heard that this is being co-developed by Koei Tecmo. And then that struck perfect sense with me, because I was like, oh, no wonder I was getting like Attack on Titan vibes. So that makes perfect sense because Koei Tecmo did the Fire Emblem Warriors game, right? And there's some visual similarities with that game, so I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And narrative-wise, they haven't shown off too much or announced any like grand conflict of where the story is going to go, but I'm sure something's going to show itself. They teased a little bit of like darkness and things like that happening.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the story and the writing is good.
Yeah. I noticed in like the sizzle reel they had at the very end when they were showing all the different aspects of like the anime cutscene, I noticed that there were not only creatures who were shrouded in darkness and summoning darkness around, but also there was a character who was the spitting image of the goddess statue that they had in there. So I really think we're gonna have some like ethereal level of conflict going on in this.
Boy, that's just yet another reason that it really feels like Final Fantasy Tactics to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also good to point out is I watched the Japanese direct for it, and so the super crazy Fire Emblem fans that freaked out when names were changed in previous entries will be happy to know that all of the names that I happen to pay attention to in the Japanese and English trailers, they all were pretty much the same in Japanese and English.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, personally, I don't get why people get super upset about that, but whatever, there you go.
I can see like people being worried about localization changing too much of a character, and I think it's a shallow worry, but I kind of understand where people are coming from.
Well, the localization worry, I can really understand that. I really can. And I understand the confusion of like, why was Zero's name changed to Niles? Why? Like, I get that. I very much get the why, but I don't get the true upset nature. So I'm not even talking to the people that are confused by it. I'm talking to the people that are like ripping the heads off of their plushies. So let's move on to the other big announcement that came right after this. Tetris Battle Royale in the name of Tetris 99. This is out now and it is free for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. Have you tried this out yet?
Well, I have not because I've been too busy playing Wargroove. I'll download it. I'll give it a try. I think putting it in a battle royale format is, it almost feels a little dated. Which
dated? No, I think it's too topical, if anything.
Well, it's because it is such an overdone topic. I mean, it was a running joke of E3 last year. It only took 5 minutes into the first presentation before there was a battle royale game announced. Like,
yeah.
The term of making something into a battle royale format, I feel, is so overdone that it's starting to feel a little dated. So
I don't know, dated I think is the wrong word. That's just me.
It's very bizarre to me.
I get your criticism. I'm on board with your criticism, actually. I take umbrage with the choice of word of dated. I also have that criticism, right? But from what I've been hearing, it's being well received, and I think a lot of people are very excited about it. The Tetris fans come out of the woodwork, I'll tell you what. This is not for me. I'm terrible at Tetris. It freaks me out. Having 98 other people that I play with and I'm competing against is only going to make things the absolute worst for me. So this is not my game, but I am very glad for all of the Tetris freaks like Utada Hikaru. Utada Hikaru, who is the vocalist and the singer for the main theme songs of all of the Kingdom Hearts games. Why are we coming back to Kingdom Hearts, man?
Can we get a counter that every time we cycle around to Kingdom Hearts again?
Yeah, jeez. And next we had an announcement of Dead by Daylight coming to the Switch in autumn. Dead by Daylight is an online game where it is killers versus survivors. You play like sort of hide and seek kind of thing. The survivors are trying to escape, killers trying to kill. And to my knowledge, it's 1v4. But this footage, what do you think about this footage, Galen? I think it looks kind of rough.
So, yeah. I feel like my opinions on this game and my opinions on the fact that Nintendo is telling us about this are two separate things. Looking at the game, I mean, it's been out for a while on other consoles. Yeah. It looks like it's a little bit dumbed down considering how the other ones have been presented to us. it's the same game that we've known about for a while. I mean, there wasn't really much to get hyped up over. Now, my biggest problem is that Nintendo talked about Fire Emblem. They talked about Tetris. And then with the same cadence and tonality, they started talking about this game. Imagine, if you will, you're a killer hunting down a bunch of guys. And I'm just like, you're kind of missing the point, Mr. Announcer Guy. And then right after that, they went into Hyper Dog bouncing around the screen. I mean, Nintendo, work on your theming, because this was way too bizarre and way too random.
Yes, I agree with you. There were some weird transitions.
This was a weird one. I mean, we know that Nintendo is going to be coming out with more announcements and more directs later in the year. With this coming out in fall, like, we didn't need to know that this was coming out to the Switch this early. Nobody's going to be super hyped and, like, waiting, bouncing in their seat, waiting, marking it on their calendar for this game to come out.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that it does round out the catalog of what's coming up. So I think it was a nice inclusion, but I'm surprised that they gave us that footage, because I was like, is this the best footage that you got right now? Like,
yeah, it was
a little rough.
It was weird. It felt very just slapped in.
I guess so, yeah. I didn't think about it that critically. But to be fair about what we're saying here, though, it is super janky looking on other platforms as well. There were memes and plenty of, jokes about how it looks weird and the character animations are weird. So it's not like this is like suddenly a gigantic downgrade or something on the Switch. But this is a janky looking game that has great gameplay from what I've heard.
Well, and also, like, the trailer felt incredibly toned down, too. Like, this is a game that, as the serial killer, you can pick up the survivors and then put them...
Oh, on hooks and stuff, right?
Yeah, just put them chin first through, like, meat hooks and stuff. And they're big. The killer is attacking is, like, stabbing a wall, kind of freaking him out, and then grabbing him and picking him up. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I didn't think about that, but that is an interesting point to point out.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm probably the most critical about. This one and the other game that's coming up that we're going to talk about in a sec, but yeah.
Okay. Interesting to point out, the Japanese trailer was different than the trailer that was shown in the North American Direct.
Really?
They didn't show off any different information or anything like that. They just kind of presented it differently and showed different screens. So I thought that was interesting to note. Don't know why. And then, speaking of the Japanese Direct, in between here, there was an announcement of Jikyo Power Pro Baseball, which is coming sometime in 2019 to the Switch. I think this game came out on the PS4. Don't quote me on that. It's a cute little, like, baseball game. That's nice.
Bizarre. Okay.
Yeah. And then there was Deltarune Chapter 1. This is coming out February 28th. This is, I guess, more or less a sequel to Undertale, or if it's a side story, I don't really know. I'm not involved in Undertale. I haven't played it. I know there's a gigantic fan base for it. So I don't know. But anyway, Chapter 1 is free. There will be future chapters, and they're not going to be free. So that's cool.
I'm kind of surprised that you're not into Undertale, because it's very Earthbound-esque when you are actually playing the game. It totally sounds like something that would be up your alley.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of RPGs, so I've always been, like, intrigued by it. The art style is actually what really, really holds me back. It just looks so ugly to me. And I can't exactly pinpoint why, but it looks so ugly to me, and I have problems if the game looks bad for me. I'm not criticizing the game, it's just my personal taste. So that's why I've never picked it up, and I've never played it yet.
Yeah, to each your own on that one, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I know it's dumb reasons. I know.
Yeah. I will clarify that Deltarune isn't exactly a sequel, but it utilizes a lot of the same characters that you would find in the first one. But one of the unique things is, like, the characters that you met in the first one, they don't necessarily know each other in the second one. So there's been this, like, mystery going around for the actual people who are coming into this game as an Undertale fan, going like, well, what exactly is going on? Is this an homage? Is there something deeper, like people just forgot about each other? Is this an alternate dimension? There's a lot of questions going on right now. Right now, you can be viewed as like a standalone game.
Interesting. So yeah, the chapter 1 is free. It's free to pre-purchase on the American eShop as far as I know, and it's coming out February 28th.
Yeah.
Game over.
And then we got Daemon X Machina coming summer 2019. They announced the Prototype Missions demo is out now on the Nintendo Switch, so you can all go and download that. They're asking for feedback from a select amount of users that have played the game as well. What's interesting to me about this is that there's not a lot of time to implement or change much if this is coming out in summer, right? So I thought that was kind of weird. I wonder if there's like internal discussions about like, we're not sure about these controls or the gameplay elements, or like, what do we do with this? Or if maybe this is just a way to promote the game because it worked for Octopath, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, prototype missions are out now. Play it out. Play it out?
Yeah.
What? Try it out.
Another thing is that I appreciate that they actually did call this a demo versus a beta. Just kind of being more upfront and being like, yeah, hey, this is a demo. You get to play the game for free, as opposed to trying to play on that hype of, well, you get exclusive beta access. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. My theories on the whole survey thing right now are more of, it's not necessarily how, like, changes on how the game is going to play, because like you said yourself, you know, there's not a lot of time before the game actually launches, but I'm thinking more of what kind of additional content would they like to see going further, and kind of also taking more of it into account for a marketing standpoint. Like, how are they going to advertise this game going forward? So
Yeah.
that's my theory on it.
So anyway, check out the demo.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll ask for your feedback and you give them a little survey.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the Japanese Direct, there was 4 different games that were announced. We got Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission coming April 4th. Then Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen coming April 25th, which I thought was really interesting that it didn't put that in the North American Direct because it's coming out the same time.
So you're telling me it's not Dark Ashen?
That's correct. Then Sword Art Online Hollow Realization Deluxe Edition coming April 25th. And then Citus Alpha coming April 25th as well. This one's a music rhythm game.
All right.
Yeah. Jumping back to the North American Direct, there was Grid Autosport announced for summer 2019. This game looks good. I don't like non-realistic, or wait a second. Hold on. Thinking it. I like non-realistic racers. Oh. That was a rough one for the brain.
Yeah.
So it's probably not for me, but it does look really nice. They said all DLC is included, and there are also motion controls and custom controls.
Mm-hmm.
There is online and also split screen, but the split screen did look a little rough, but there's still development time coming up. It's coming out in summer, so yeah, that's cool for all of the racing fans. I think realistic racing doesn't have a lot of options on the Nintendo Switch, so this is good for them to come out.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, this is the other one that I was being a little critical on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it felt a little out of place when they started talking about it. I understand that there is not necessarily a lot of racers on the Switch, especially a realistic racer like this. I'm thinking it in more of a broader sense, however. Like, what does Grid Autosport offer that something like Gran Turismo or Forza or any of those other racers offer?
Well, I don't think that that's really a valid question, though. Like, because neither Gran Turismo or Forza is on the Switch, so you know what I mean?
I mean, that's absolutely fair, and that cycles around to the point that you just brought up, that there are not a lot of racers out there right now. It just, I was looking at it like, is this really the market they wanted to try to shine light on this game for?
I think so.
All right.
All right, I'll fight you. Moving on. We got a big surprise. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice coming spring to the Switch. This is particularly interesting because, I mean, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous game. So, you know, I wouldn't think of it being on the Switch because it's got very realistic graphics. And this is also developed by, I don't know if it's developed or published by Ninja Theory, who is now owned by Microsoft. So even though this is an older game, it's still coming over to the Switch, being owned by Ninja Theory. I've heard mixed things about this game. I can't remember what though. Clearly it's beautiful, and they said that it won awards for sound design and whatnot, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like it on the Switch, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this game. Never got to play it the first time it came around, and I'm just very excited to get another chance to play this game.
Yeah, it looks very pretty, and I hope that those were Switch screenshots and video that we were seeing, because it looks very, very nice.
I would not be surprised if they were, yeah.
Then we got a little splash of, almost said Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat 11, because I write it down shorthand in my notes, so it's just MK11. Mortal Kombat 11, y'all.
Yep.
That's coming April 23rd to Nintendo Switch. Then also Unravel 2 was announced, coming March 22nd, very soon, with puzzle platforming co-op. That'd be a good game for us to play.
Yeah.
And then they announced, strangely, Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, coming May 21st.
Why? Why 3?
I sort of had that same thought in my head. I guess it's because it's a bit older and it's easier to remaster and port over, but isn't this the worst Assassin's Creed except for maybe the first game?
Kind of. I mean, it had a big thing with introducing, I think this is the one that they introduced ship combat with, but it didn't become really popular until the pirate version of Assassin's Creed. I don't even remember. It's just, this was very weird. This like really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think it was leaked just a bit earlier from like a Italian GameStop or some kind of website listing like that. But I do think it is kind of strange that they would bring 3 over as opposed to one of the other better received ones by the community. Because I know that 4 was very well received after 3 had been sort of mediocre. So, hey, cool, I guess?
Yeah.
And then they talked about Final Fantasy VII. That's coming out March 26th.
Yeah.
And then Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody coming March 20th. That's also available for pre-purchase.
All of the buddies.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. That one's also, I think, only $40 US. And if you pre-order or pre-purchase, then you get some extra buddies and bonuses and junk like that. So that's nice.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this game.
Me too. It's so cute. And then they shadow dropped Final Fantasy IX. That's out now on the Switch eShop. Our first Final Fantasy game. Well, not our first, but our first mainline Final Fantasy game.
Our first numbered one.
Yeah, well, there was 15 Pocket Edition, but whatever. You know what I mean.
Hey, it had the words Pocket Edition after, so it still wasn't a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm really excited.
Me too. Final Fantasy IX is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm excited about them putting more information out on all of these Final Fantasy games, like 7, 9, Chocobo's Buddies. I'm very excited to be invested in the Final Fantasy franchise right now on the Switch.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're not spacing it out a little bit more, though. You know what I mean? Because in the Japan Direct, they showed off 10, 10-2, and 12. So 10, 10-2 is coming April 11th, and 12 is coming April 25th. So in the span of like, what, 2-3 months, we're getting like 5-6 games from Final Fantasy? Like,
Seriously,
it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird they're not spacing it out a little bit more. But you know what? Fine, do it. Give it to me. I'm buying them all. I don't care. Put everything on my Switch.
I'm tired.
And then that was the end of the highlights, they said, but they had just a little bit more to share with us. Just a little bit. And for me, it was a lot of bit because they debuted Astral Chain.
Yeah.
This was my breakout of the entire show. There were pop-offs that were had over here. All right, I freaked.
No, this game looks so good.
Yes. Astral Chain is a sci-fi action RPG developed by Platinum. It has that awesome platinum battle style where it's super fast. You're doing all these flashy, flamboyant moves, and you use basically JoJo stands that you're tied to by an astral chain, whatever the dimensional chain that kind of thing is. The stands, which I'm just calling them that because I don't think they have a name yet. The stands take multiple forms. There was like a little wolf doggy guy, which is super cool. There's a big open world to explore that's basically Final Fantasy VII's Midgar. It was accompanied by super hype music.
I got so pumped during this entire trailer.
Me too.
There were flashes, there were explosions, there was fancy moves. It showed platinum, it showed, hey, do you remember Bayonetta 3? Well, here's some awesome fighting mechanics to make you think about that even more. And I'm like, the hype is real.
It is so strange that we not only are seeing this game first before seeing Bayonetta 3, but that this game is coming out before Bayonetta 3, probably before we even see Bayonetta 3 too, you know? It is so weird that we're getting this. Clearly it's being made by a different like selection of team members or something, but yeah, nuts.
Yeah, I'm so hyped.
Yeah, as I was watching it over, because you know I've rewatched that trailer, there were like these Spider-Man PS4-esque scenes where you're running down the street and you're chasing after like a big criminal, and then you tie him up with the chain, and then there's like jumping down from the rafters with your chain and like tying people up and pulling them up. It was super cool, super hype.
And that's coming out this year.
I know, coming out so soon, August 30th. What I inferred from the story is that there's like this apocalyptic tone, which I'm always about. I like when stuff is happening right now and you're in the middle of it, or you're about to cause it, or something like that.
Pre-post-apocalyptic.
So basically, Switch owners get Astral Chain, PS4 owners get Grand Blue Fantasy, and all video gamers win because both of those games look super good.
Hype.
And important to point out, the character designer for Astral Chain is Masakazu Katsura, who has done work for Zetman, Video Girl I, and Wingman. The supervisor of this game is Hideki Kamiya, the one and only. He created Bayonetta, Devil May Cry 1, Wonderful 101. And the director of this game is Takahisa Taura, who was the senior game designer for Nier Automata and game designer for Anarchy Reigns. So especially with Nier Automata being the breakout hit and the beloved game that it is, and just honestly elevating that series to the nth degree, I'm really interested to see his, I don't know if it's his directorial debut, but at least him sit in the directorial seat and make this game. I wonder what the tone is going to be and where they're going to go with it. It's looking fantastic.
I know. I'm so excited and I want to know more. Like, this came as such a shock, and they definitely left me wanting. I want to know more. I want to know what the story is. I want to know more about the combat. I want to know how the game feels. They did everything a trailer needed to do in the sense of, I want more.
Absolutely. I've seen nothing but positive things across the internet about this game, and hell yes, give this to me. Give me this nonsense anime edge post-apocalyptic crap. I don't care.
Hey, remember, pre-post-apocalyptic.
Whatever. I don't even give a damn. Shove it down my gullet. And then the big surprise, Zelda Link's Awakening being remade for the Nintendo Switch, coming out in 2019. Probably a holiday title.
Most likely. I mean, if they were vague enough just to put a date on it and nothing else, most likely we're going to be seeing this late October, more likely late November.
Yeah. It's Zelda. Yeah. It's got the gravity that gets people talking. Even though like other series do sell more, like Mario, Zelda just has a lot of people talking and is very much a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So this game is super beloved by so many people. I never played Link's Awakening, the original. Did you ever play the original?
Believe it or not, it is the very first Legend of Zelda game that I ever beat.
Huh.
And I remember just spending an entire summer just blitzing through this game, having a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
When I was watching the trailer, I thought it was a very interesting aesthetic style that they decided to go with.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this art style?
It's different. I'm still kind of on the fence as to is it good different or bad different. It felt very cartoony is the bad word. It felt very plastic.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Looking at his eyes, especially because it felt like
he looks like a pop figure.
Exactly. He looks like a what was it? A Tsum Tsum. Yeah, it was just there was this kind of shiny plastic toy-esque vibe throughout the entire everything. All the models in the game kind of had that feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of makes sense if you know how the storyline actually goes and what the underlying theme of the entire thing is. It kind of makes sense. But I feel like it's a very interesting choice. They had a lot of success with the last top-down 3D Zelda game that they had.
Yeah, A Link Between Worlds, right?
Yeah, and I feel like they're trying to replicate that while still not overtly saying, hey, remember this, hey, remember this, hey, remember this. So I definitely think it is a good thing. I just don't think I'm used to it just yet.
I agree with you for the most part. I definitely think that it is an interesting choice. It makes sense, like, in my brain somehow for the conversion from A Link to the Past to A Link Between Worlds to this. It just makes sense in my brain. I get that some people are like, I don't know how I feel about this. I've seen it being kind of divisive. It looks like clay and plastic. So I get it, but it's going so far in that direction for me that I'm cool with it. Does that make sense?
No, 100%.
For example, the new Super Mario Bros. Games on like Wii and Wii U and now on Switch, I mean, they look nice, but they look very bland in the plastic kind of sense. But this is taking it a bit further. And same thing with like 3D Worlds. That took it just like a tad bit further. I don't know. I'm not really articulating myself the best, I think, on that because I can't actually tell what it is that I do enjoy about it. But it's okay for me. I'm fine with this.
Yeah. And again, it's, you know, a very beloved game in the franchise.
It is.
I'm really happy to see them give it that Nintendo loving care on polishing it up.
Yeah. I saw one of our commenters, I'm sorry, I can't remember who it is because I just thought of this, but they said Resident Evil 2 is the best remake of 2019, and then Link's Awakening is like, hold on, you know? And
exactly.
I mean, I love Resident Evil 2, like that game's great. So this is just awesome that we're getting two different kinds of remakes of classic games where they're like, no, look at this is how you do a remake, both of us. And that closed out the Nintendo Direct of February 2019. That was a great one in my opinion. Like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't for me in that thing, but I thought it was really well-rounded, had a lot of different stuff to offer, don't you?
Mm-hmm. It did everything that I wanted out of the Direct. It gave us a lot of information. It gave us a lot of stuff to look forward to and also stuff to be excited about in the moment. Like, I have heard some criticism on, hey, they didn't talk about Luigi's Mansion, or hey, they haven't talked about the new Pokemon, or hey, they didn't talk about Bayonetta 3. It's okay because it's still very early in the year, and I feel like focusing on the stuff that's going to be coming out in the very near future is a much smarter way to go about, because it gives us that much more stuff to be excited for later down the road, because that expectation that this stuff is coming out later down the road has been placed on us.
Yeah.
Then it's... I really hate saying this because it sounds incredibly cliche, but I am very excited to be a Switch owner right now, knowing what is going to be coming up this year.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, 2019 is a big year for Nintendo, and so far they seem to be doing pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm. Although, they still have no Kingdom Hearts, just saying.
So those three games that you mentioned in particular, though, I'm not surprised that they didn't show those games. That was fine with me.
Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely fine with me too.
Like that sort of goes to the point that I always have of like, no matter how good a direct is, and of course this direct could have been better, like whatever, but no matter what, people are always going to be like, oh, they didn't do this. Well, they didn't show this. You know, like just ugh.
They didn't show this. They showed Dead by Daylight. I mean, what's going on here?
I'm growing tired of people's opinions. I'm 30 or 40 years old. I don't need them anymore.
You know what you do need? More Tsum Tsum.
I mean, clearly. You know, one thing, though, that was not in the show that I am surprised that they didn't mention is Animal Crossing. I'm really surprised that they didn't mention anything about it. So I'm sure that that's right around the corner for some sort of announcement or something they're going to show.
I'm going to go with my prediction of they're going to be saving that for an E3 announcement.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I think they're going to be talking about basically all the ones that we were missing that people have been clamoring for. I think they're going to be talking about Animal Crossing. I think they're going to be talking about Luigi's Mansion. And I think they're going to reference Bayonetta. They might not have like more actual gameplay or anything like that. Although then again, now that I think about it, they might focus more on Astral Chains because that's going to be coming out, you know, so soon. Nintendo Direct's entire theme with this one in particular has been, these are the things to be excited for within the next 3 months. And I really feel like they are going to be carrying that over with the next one they come out later down the road. So we're probably going to get more information about those bigger titles with the next one.
2019, year to watch, year to be a Switch owner for sure.
Yeah.
Mamma mia!
So moving on to our additional DLC. My additional DLC for you, dear listener, is a video on YouTube by Jim Sterling. Now, Jim Sterling is kind of ridiculous. He plays a character of himself, and for first-time listeners, he can be kind of annoying. So I get it. I get that he plays that character. However, I love what he talks about and the criticisms he has. This video is called Capitalism, and capitalism, the CA, is AAA as in AAA gaming. He always criticizes any AAA gaming. Capitalism, the successful failure of video games. And he's just kind of talking about some recent events in the gaming industry where there's been tons and tons of layoffs, even though these companies are making money, are profitable, and are making lots of money. They're saying, oh, well, you know, this game was a disappointment. It sold 6 million. We predicted it would sell 7.2 million. It's a disappointment. Things like that. He does a good job generally of following the money and criticizing unsustainable and disgusting business practices within the video gaming industry. It's a great overview and great points that I think we all should be reminded of in the video gaming industry. So I highly recommend this video. So Galen, what do you got for us?
So mine is actually a singer or songwriter and musician player on YouTube, Eden Kai. Some people may recognize them if they have been following some of the Netflix series that they've been putting on. Terrace House. He was a contestant on there with dreams and aspirations of being a guitarist and a musician. He is especially known for his ukulele playing as well as his acoustic playing. And his acoustic guitar music it strikes a chord with me, if you will. I'm a sucker for acoustic guitar as a whole, and just the song that I have listed on here, Beautiful Stars, in the description, is a really beautiful piece to listen to. And I really like his music.
Cool. We'll check that out. Links will be in the description.
Yeah.
Now, let's read some listener mail.
Yeah.
If you would like to email us, you can send us an email, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
That email is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
We got an email this week from Stacy. She was the lovely fan of ours who posted on Reddit and suggested our podcast and therefore gave us a few new listeners, which is really wonderful. We really appreciate her. And she was having a rough day at work. And when we gave her the shout out last week, she was like, hey, that's me. And she sent us an email and yeah, just, I hope you have a good day, girl. Hope you just keep fighting at work. You know, sometimes work sucks. And all you other listeners out there, sometimes work just sucks. But you always got to remember that everything's in a constant state of motion, right? You're never just stuck. So you always just got to work a little bit more to what you want to go to the next thing. If you don't like what you're doing right now, you can do it. You can make a change in your life, you know? Just try and do anything ever so slightly to move yourself forward. And even if you can't move forward every single day, that's totally okay. Even if you move back some days, that's totally normal too. Just keep fighting. Yeah, that's my positivity I'm gonna send out.
That was good positivity.
Thank you. We also got an email from Jay. Jay writes, "Hey Nintendo Everything fellas, new listener here thanks to a recommendation off Reddit. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Jay. Thank you." See? Stacy, meet Jay. Jay, Stacy.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, Jay writes, "Enjoying the podcast, but Oni, why you so mean to Galen?" Oh my god. I keep getting this.
The listeners want an answer, you know.
So several episodes back, we did say Galen and I have been friends for a very long time. We thought about it, and it's definitely been over 15 years. And this is just kind of the way that we talk. We both try to be our authentic selves on this podcast. We're not trying to play characters or anything like that, or, you know, we're just trying to be aware that there are people listening to us, and that's about the only thing that we do. We still talk like this when the mics are off.
He has to put up with me all the time.
Yeah, Galen loves to push my buttons, and I get flustered very easily. So it's, I don't know, it's just our dynamic that we have, and it's just kind of how we do things. So sorry, it comes off that I'm so mean to him, and I do need to be nicer, but that's the explanation there. So let's keep reading. Jay wrote an email. Let's keep reading. He got a twofer in. Jay continues to write, "In honor of the slow demise of the 3DS, what is your most played 3DS games? Mine is Super Smash Bros., followed by Animal Crossing and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire.
Sapphire.
This is my wife, Sapphire Fire." That's an Avatar reference. That's a really good show.
Nice.
Jay writes, "Also, can we talk about how awesome a feature Activity Log is on the 3DS? Totally agree, Jay. Why isn't this on every console? I love seeing random stats about your gameplay tendencies. For example, the game with the longest average playtime per session for me was Samus Returns, which I did not expect. Any stats that surprised you guys? Again, love the podcast. Keep doing what you do." Thanks, Jay. That was a really nice email of you.
Thanks, Jay. And thanks, Stacy, too.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. I love your name. I don't know why, but names like that, I like a lot. Like, you know how you can say it with like a really Valley Girl kind of California accent of like, Stacy. Like, I feel like Stacy, Jessica, are friends. You know? I don't know, something about doing that accent is it just like feels good to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I could like talk like that like every day. Sorry. Let's answer Jay's question. How about that? Galen, you want to go first?
Okay, I actually have my 3DS pulled up in front of me, and I'll do a top 3 list. So my number 3rd by playtime game that I played is Pokemon Y at 96 hours and 16 minutes. My number 2 spot is Super Smash Bros. At 129 hours and 35 minutes. Oh my god, I need a life.
Wait a second. Didn't you say your number 1 game is 96 hours?
No, that was my number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going the other way. Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
doing like a 3, 2, 1 countdown.
That's smart. That's really smart.
And my number 1 game by playtime at 190 hours and 46 minutes. Do you want to take a guess, Oni?
Netflix?
It's a game that you have on yours.
Monster Hunter?
Street Pass Me Plaza.
Oh, well, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
It does because the Monster House is addictive for me. Like the first time I actually downloaded that, and you had to come up with the puzzles to fill out all the rooms. I played that so much.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, you were particularly enamored with it.
Mm-hmm. Because I love the concept of it. I would have loved a fully fledged game.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about random stats that surprised me, the number of steps I have taken with my 3DS on me is 3,334,259. So, Oni, how about you?
Well, wait, before we go on, what about your average playtime?
Oh, my average playtime?
Yeah, Jay was sort of asking about that, like some sort of stats that surprised you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, and this is what's really weird. So, average playtime, number 3 is Pokemon Sun at about 2 hours and 17 minutes per playtime. Number 2 is Animal Crossing New Leaf at 3 hours and 4 minutes per playtime. And number 1 is Pokemon Trading Card Game at 3 hours and 16 minutes.
That's interesting.
Well, and you gotta realize that it's like, it doesn't count like the number of times you've actually played the game. So if you've like played the game once, played it for 3 hours, and then never picked it back up again, there's your average. So
Gotcha.
no, that one also threw me off.
Yeah, this is a great feature. Jay is totally right. Like, more systems should have this, just because it's weird. You don't expect that you've played this or that so much or so little or whatever. It's interesting. So for me, I'm going to start with the 4th slot because my 2nd slot is not real. I'll let you know what I mean.
Is it Netflix? It's Netflix.
Coming in at number 4 is Pokemon Picross. Clearly, I am a Picross fanatic, and I've got a problem. I don't need medication for it. I don't want it. I love Picross. That is at 136 hours.
I don't feel as bad now.
You shouldn't. It gets worse. My 3rd is Street Pass. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, Street Pass.
At 162 hours. My 2nd is Netflix. Clearly, I've fallen asleep with the thing on. Yeah. That's at 176 hours, so that's not a real thing.
Not bad.
And then number 1, and this one is entirely real, and oh my god, I didn't know I played this game this much, but I did. I loved it. Fantasy Life at 209 hours.
Oh!
Yeah, 209.
Wow. All right.
That game's awesome. That game's real good. If you don't know, now you know. All right.
It's 209 hours. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason these kind of stats aren't on every console. These are kind of scary now that I think about it.
Yeah. And then going over to average playtime. My god, my 3DS battery is broken for sure. Like, I charged it and then now it's dying already. Oh my god, it already died! Shite! What the? Oh, damn it! Okay, so from memory, I don't remember what... Don't stop you laughing at me! Stop it! You're embarrassing me in front of the Hylians. So, from memory, the 3rd place was Metroid Samus Returns. Wait. Oh, I think that was 3rd place. I don't remember 2nd place. And then number 1 was A Link Between Worlds for average playtime. And they were all around the 20-hour mark.
Yeah, that game is hard to put down, so I totally see that.
I don't think I ever stopped. I think that was the thing, is that I just kept on playing it and I never stopped.
And that's why your battery is dead.
Shut up. Yeah, my thing is totally dead. Like, this basically is not a portable anymore, sadly. So anyway, thank you very much, Jay, for that question. Thank you very much, Stacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, a big reminder, if you want to send us an email like these folks, that email again is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
So I hope you enjoyed our special episode covering all of the Nintendo Direct. It was a long one, right? You got some extra bonus material this week.
Hey, at least we got to bring it directly to the listeners.
Yeah. So there was clearly so much more news that we couldn't talk about. Check out our website. That's where all the news is.
Yeah, the Direct kind of took over like everything, which I'm not going to complain about.
Yeah, no complaints over here. I had fun. Did you have fun, Galen?
I had a lot of fun.
So check out our website, nintendoeverything.com, for all that news. We've also got a Twitter. That's at nineverything. We also have the YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. Then you can find me on Twitter at Oni_Dino. I also have an Instagram, so feel free to follow me on that too, where I'll be posting food, cats, and video games.
Those are the big important 3.
That is, I don't know if there's like a website or whatever. My Instagram name is Oni__Dino. There's 2 underscores. I don't know why. Only 1 underscore was taken or something. I don't know why. Don't know. So 2 underscores for the Instagram, please. So Galen, what about you?
And you listeners can always follow me at Mobius087 on the Twitter. Go ahead and, you know what? Send me your fan theories for how Kingdom Hearts is going, because we should have a discussion about that. I feel like that's topical.
What the hell? Like, why not? Just send us tweets. Let me know what your experience is with Kingdom Hearts and how you feel about that series, because I honestly... I feel so strangely about that series because I loved it so much. Then we got 15 years of important spin-offs and side stories, and then the 3rd one finally came out and I didn't care because of just how the narrative has gone with... I don't know. I feel strongly about it, but I don't know which way to go. I'm very ambivalent on this, right?
I just want one of our listeners to send me a Magikarp with a Keyblade. That's what I want.
You're giving him homework? Like, come on, man.
Is it really homework if you're having fun?
Yes. Yes. So thank you for listening to our special episode on the Nintendo Direct. Stay tuned next week on Sunday. We're going to have a regular episode, regular length, regular discussion. Unless there's another Nintendo Direct, there's not going to be. Spoiler alert.
It'll be a regular episode until all the news comes out Friday morning and we have to completely reshuffle what we're going to talk about.
Remember, for everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Later.